remember Bob Dylan.
Yeah, there's one. I got one friend out there. Thank you. I love you. You're my new best friend.
Okay.
I still remember Melanie also.
Oh wow.
She was in
Oh,
69 on Woodstock. Yay!
we do. We remember that well. Oh, that's it. Time's up. Okay, we'll get started. Times are a-changing. Well, they are, and this is the one part of this webinar that... Oh, Michelle, are you recording this now?
Yes, she's recording.
Okay, all right, we'll get started then. And times are a-changing. Well, this is the one part of the webinar that I didn't rehearse because this was going to be the bit that Michelle did. So let me get... Okay, just to give you a brief rundown of the two people involved in this, there is myself, Richard Burnell. I'm a consultant with the company. I'm a Master Profi graduate. There you go. I'm one of the admins of the great Telegram group, and I'm affectionately known as Mr. Crew. Thank you, Najma, for doing that to me. I'm self-employed, I'm an option trader, and you know what I like to eat. Michelle, on the other hand, she's a junior, she's a top manager. She is also a Master Profi graduate. Shh, quiet, we know that. She's she's an administrator there of various groups. She's a business owner, has a digital background, is in love with techie things, and loves a good red wine. Tonight and the next couple of webinars we are going to do, we're going to cover three topics. Tonight is the first one, the purpose of new. Then we're going to look at where we are now and where the company's going. I need to give a disclaimer. We are going to talk numbers somewhere, I'm guessing, in this presentation. And it's important to know that we're not registered brokers or advisors. You need to consider everything that is given in this webinar as information, and you need to check it out yourself. We try very hard to give you accurate information, but nothing is guaranteed. We do not offer financial advice. Do your own due diligence. What's that bottom one? Seek confirmation from a licensed accountant. Now, you've got to also say that at least seek advice from someone who knows about new. There is no point talking to the bloke on the bus if he doesn't know what he's talking about. And with that, we will begin. The purpose of tonight's webinar is to introduce, and we're going to talk first of all about a concept of two things that can be running side by side, and sometimes one of them isn't easily identifiable. And I'm just going to show you a picture. There should be something on your screen that you should be able to recognise what this picture is. And if I change the screen, hopefully you're now seeing something different because we've changed the perspective of the picture. Here, hopefully you're looking at a frog sitting on a pond. You can see the frog sitting on a pond, and you're looking at it in one way. And now we're looking at something from a different perspective, and you can see a horse's head. In reality, the new economic evolution of the world and our present economic system are running side by side. Right now, new economic evolution of the world has started, it's beginning, and this presentation and the ones that follow it, the design and the hope of it is that we will give you a perspective that you'll be able to see both of these economic systems. So with that, let me get started with the economic evolution of the world. So what's the purpose of new? At the heart of new is the earnest desire to build an ecosystem designed to create abundance in more ways than just money. And in doing so, in doing that, to give the members genuine, sustainable time freedom. And that's something, time is something extremely precious. Further to that, and through education, teach members how to enjoy that abundance by understanding that the value of money comes from what you do with it rather than just having it. Now, what the members actually do with all this newfound freedom, well, that's up to each member, but it is truly hoped that they will pursue and reconnect with maybe a lost dream or two, as well as pass on the existence of new to others. We've all had the discussion over life, I'm sure, about the glass. Is it half full or is it half empty? And it all depends on your viewpoint as to how you see that. But it really doesn't matter how you look at it. If you feel your life is not where you would like it to be, then maybe this presentation you're going to see tonight is for you. Because when we start off looking and making our plans, often it's a very, very straightforward plan. We can clearly identify dreams, we can clearly identify goals, and we begin our journey towards them. But then a thing called life often gets between our dreams and our goals. And sometimes life can be so big that it actually obscures those dreams and goals, and we lose sight of them and ultimately sometimes lose them altogether. But what is known and what we do know is that having true abundance, and one of the components of that is a supply of money, for most people, if they can overcome those obstacles, it brings back into focus their goals and their dreams. So now this is where I need you to get out the piece of paper and a pencil. This is where we get a little interactive. Because what I would really, really like people to do is to write down on a piece of paper just 2 dreams that they've lost somewhere in their life, and what caused them to become lost. Now, I don't have think music to give you, so we'll just have a little moment of silence while you just jot them down. Now, I can hear a mic open, Michelle, somewhere. Once you've got those 2 down, what's the next thing it would be nice to jot down, even if it's just in a bullet point form? What steps do you think you need to take to actually reconnect to those dreams to achieve them? And the next thing after that, there's not too many to do, is how long do you think it would actually take you if you truly really had time freedom? How long would it take you to actually achieve those dreams? And this is one of the big questions in this. How much money would it take you to achieve them as well? And then this is the last one. How important are they? Now, in this 5 is if you genuinely had the money that you needed and you genuinely had the time, you would go for that dream in a really big way. And 1 is if it happens, it happens, but I'm not really that fussed. With that being done, we can put the piece of paper aside for a while. We'll come back to that later as we just get back into now a little bit more discussion about the new economic evolution of the world and how did we get to here, to where we are right now. To do that, we actually have got to start by going back, because a society where there is such abundance that people have the time to follow their dreams and invariably do good to one another, was first mooted by John Maynard Keynes back in 1930. So the idea of an abundant society is not actually new. And for those who don't know about John Maynard Keynes, he's probably still regarded today as being the foremost economist of all time. That's the Keynesian theory of economics is still used by governments in the world today. They still embrace John Maynard Keynes' ideas. And in an essay entitled Economic Possibilities for Grandchildren, this was written in 1930, and it was actually, he was talking about the year 2030, which isn't very far away from us. But in this essay, he wrote of the circumstance where people who are idle and have nothing tend towards becoming violent. There is civil unrest, there is riots, there's violence on a global and on a national scale, even civil wars, and countries have actually gone to war over this very issue. But he noticed that with an abundant society, the tendency is for people to do good. Now, he felt that the difference was in education, and particularly financial education. But what he had noticed with the booming industrial age that had kicked in, and also after the war and coming out of the Depression, that business needed a pool of people that it could draw on to fulfill roles in business. And so the education system was set up and was geared towards supplying that. Now, those people did not necessarily have to be financially literate. So you had thousands of well-educated people who were able to get jobs where they could swap their time for money until the day they retired, but they never ever got to experience the abundance. Now, Keynes even suggested that the teaching of financial literacy in schools would create a society of abundance, as people would make better decisions throughout their life, and the economy would be subsequently stronger. And what he saw when he put it into a mathematical equation, because he was a mathematician before he was an economist, was financially educated people plus a stable economy equaled what he referred to as abundance. Now, obviously, Keynes' theory was not taken up because, as I said, the needs of business and finance in a growing industrial age required people to be able to fill a role in employment in a job. And unfortunately, that has carried through right through to this very day.
Oh dear, yeah.
But there are incredibly vivid examples of people who have had individual abundance and have done really significant things with it. But it wasn't until this man came along, Andrei Haratov, who was a visionary. And he came up with a new equation that brought the vision that Keynes once muted back into focus. Now, Andrei Haratov, professional investor, self-made millionaire, founder of a number of institutions and groups, creator of the Academy of the Private Investor, financial investment business coach, numerous other citations, basically top bloke, good bloke, all-round nice fella. But his equation was this. His equation was education plus people plus an investment portfolio actually equaled abundance. And that abundance he calls the new economic evolution of the world, or what we refer to as new. Education. He established the Academy of the Private Investor, which has now taught thousands of people basic and advanced subjects in financial literacy. People to date, 1.4 plus million people had caught and seen his vision and joined Transnet Global, with some 500,000 of them becoming joint owners in the Crypto Unit Private Close Club. The investment portfolio, established in 2014 with an initial deposit of 26,000, has grown since then to be recently valued at $437,965, 404 million. Now that's a big woohoo, that is. But this is the kicker. Unlike traditional businesses who exclude the abundance created from those who actually helped create it, what Andre has done is those who participate with him become owners of the business that they're building, and they receive their share of the created abundance. So how do you turn $26,000 in 2014 into 400 million by 2020? Well, I aren't going to get into all the details of it, but just to give people a general overview, you do it by investing in 20 different segments of an investment market. You invest in commercial property, in restaurants, in gold, in resorts, banking and insurance, all manner of things that help create a beautifully balanced investment portfolio. You also pick up and improve financial literacy. Now, I don't know all the countries that this is now moving out to, but I know it is going to spread wider and wider, and that is the joining of the Academy of the Private Investor with other certified training academies, so those who want it can now actually go and get an education and be registered financial planners and investment planners. And I think that's a very, very positive step forward. Now, the Crypto Unit program, it's like having a cake and eating it. But this cake it's a terrific cake because it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the investments that the company is making, what the Crypto Unit is making, as they take shape, they grow and they get bigger and bigger for us. And every month, we do get the chance, if we want to take it, to have a little nibble at it. And dividends and bonuses are paid in accordance with company rules and the monthly voting results of the club membership. Now, I never thought this bloke would be someone that I would be using as an example to be getting advice from, but the point he makes is very true, that we all seem to have a plan until we get a decent whack and it knocks us around a bit. Now, the entire world has taken a massive punch in the mouth. And how well we as individuals and as nations recover from that punch, whether we actually want to admit it or not, will be very closely linked to how financially literate we are. And many people are going to be hurt because they don't have a plan B or a plan C. And what we're doing in this presentation and the couple to follow is we're simply inviting you to consider us as your plan B or C. But whatever you do, don't do this. Don't bury your head in the sand and just believe that when you pull your head out, everything's going to go back to normal, because it isn't. The simple act of improving financial literacy, when multiplied by millions of people doing it, will change and create an ecosystem for those who are in it of abundance. The millions of people working together can actually transform this world. And that's basically the story behind bringing us to where New is today. That's the story from Keynes to Haratov in a short summary. What I would really like to have happen now is that sheet of paper that you wrote those dreams on with the information about how long it would take and how much money you need, if you would take a photo of that and send it to the person who invited you here to this webinar, and that person will create for you a dream catcher plan where the company will identify how they feel the company can provide the means for you to go chase down those two dreams, reconnect with them and pursue them. And that person will get back to you with it. That person will answer your questions and will help you understand. What I've given you tonight is a very quick overview, but the person will help you understand a little bit more about how to do it. In 2 weeks from now, you can either do that or you can come back in 2 weeks, because we're going to have part 2 of this, where we're going to have a more nuts and bolts look at actually how the company works, how owners, new and old, and stakeholders interact, and how that abundance is actually created. If you do something that you love, and I love what New offer, I really do, and it's my hope that I can awaken the hearts of people to feel empowered to do those dreams. I know those dreams work because they've worked for me. I've had 2 of my dreams I've already ticked off. I had one dream which was I wanted to leave my kids something significant, and the New program gave me the chance to do that. And that's really important. So today is the time for questions. We're going to wrap this up now, and looks like I'm going to be answering all the questions. But today is the time for questions so that tomorrow can be the time for action. And on that note, Michelle, we can open the floor and we can answer questions. And how do I?
She said for us to unmute. We're all ready to go.
Oh, okay. So if you've got a question, unmute. No one has a question.
You did a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard,
Yo.
I have a remark.
Oh, there you are at the top there. Sorry?
You constantly say, we've done so good, we've done so good. But in my simple calculations, we have not done so good.
In what respect?
Well, like you say, Andre started in 2014 with $26,000
Yep.
and zero participants. These days, he has more than 1 million participants and a portfolio of $404 million.
Yeah.
Those $404 million he got from his participants.
Right.
He did not own it. He did not work for it. No, we gave him the money for the education. And
Right.
I myself have just a modest $3,500, but I also know of people that have spent more than $12,000. So I think either we're hemorrhaging money or my calculations are not good, because if everyone just is at $500 for this education, you are already at 500 million and we're just at 404 million. So what's wrong in my calculation?
Okay, I guess your calculations will be wrong, but you've got to take out of that, there's a number of costs that you take out of that, Tom. That's, you're assuming that everything that's gone there has gone into one thing, and that's not correct.
No.
You know what the percentages are because you know them. You know that there's loyalty bonuses come out of those sort of things. You know that there's administrative costs that come out of those sort of things. You know that already.
Yes, so we're hemorrhaging money.
Well, you're not. You're actually paying operating costs. There's every business does that. That's a weird question, Tom. That's surprising that it would come from yourself, because you and I talk about this all the time. You know where the money's going. Anyway,
yeah.
Look, that's a fair enough question. And come back on in 2 weeks' time, because 2 weeks' time we talk about the company, we talk about where the money goes, we talk about what happens. So it's a very, very relevant question, and it will get answered well and truly in 2 weeks' time. So
Thank you very much, because I have those questions from my downlines.
No, that's right. Well, then bring them back here in 2 weeks, mate. Make sure they're all on this call in 2 weeks' time.
They don't are that interested.
Well, then there's not much I can do about that. You know,
yeah.
I can answer the question, but if they're not going to come to hear the answer, that's kind of not much I can do about that.
No, they're just stupid people.
Okay, well, let's move on. Let's have a nice happy question from someone. Okay, don't tell me I've...
Richard.
Yeah, mate.
Hi, everyone. Nathan here, Perth, WA. Hopefully everyone's aware of the promotion and the start of the VIP Club. 1st of May, it's launched, so it's this Friday. I'm just giving basically a plug to everyone on this. Do take a look at this. I've had a few questions, you know, is it compulsory? Is it non-compulsory? It is non-compulsory. It's a personal preference, but I'm just going to say, like, if you don't know enough about the VIP Club, ask someone in your business or ask your upline what this is really about. I think this is a very lucrative opportunity. Massive growth just in the membership of personnel coming into the VIP Club, and the benefits everyone's going to get a part of the CAU program on top of the bonuses, the benefits, the employment opportunities, you know, the loyalty bonuses that will continue, the education bonuses that will come out of it as well. And there's some bigger things in the pipeline with the VIP Club. So people, if are not aware and not educated enough in the VIP, take a look at that in the next 4 or 5 days before launch. I have had some people that say they can't afford $10 a month. Understandable, and I get that. And, you know, Tom, you got a valid point there in what you're saying, but not everyone buys 500 pack. But if you can assist in any way and educate the people, as you are, Richard, in this presentation, that if you're building a business, you're going to get commissions. Now, we've got 14 payment opportunities in this company. 2 we get through loyalty and profit bonuses. If everyone can build their business and probably bring in 50 to 100, maybe 200, you know, purchases on an EIP with, say, 1 or 2 signups a week, or if not a day, it's very possible to be able to join the VIP Club for 10 units. So do get educated on this VIP Club, because it's going to be a big opportunity for many people. Just a plug.
Yeah, for sure. All right. There's any other no questions on what we covered tonight? It was no. That was a very short meeting. Then we'll have tonight. Then. All righty.
Richard.
Yeah.
Hello. Could
Hi.
you please just explain again how the price is going to grow towards the July or December this time?
So
This
just So say that again.
Could you please explain to all of us how the price is going to grow towards the end of the year? You know, like what the price might be in July, August time, what's it going to be in December, for example, if you have that slide ready.
Yeah, no, don't have the slide here, but I have it. I have that chart written on stuck on my desk because I read it nearly every day. I look at it nearly every day.
Okay. When do you want to go?
Yeah,
I just
if you
necessarily finished.
if you look at the company, like on Andre's chart, he gave us where he had the 10 million figure at December, and then he's given us numbers of membership that break down, and he's put values of what he believes the high and low value of crew can be relative to those values. Now, I'm not privy to all of the way Andre works those things out, but what I do know, when I looked at that chart that we had at the end of the year, and I can't pull it up because I'm stuck here, but you need to have a look at that chart that he prepared at the end of last year. And I think we're already the value of the investments that have made, there's $60 million that is recorded in the last webinar we had that was invested money. And to be at the end of stage 2, that figure needed to be 66 million. So we've actually got into, we're well past the stage 1 figure. There's 3 things that that he looks at to move to a different stage. That's numbers, and it's investment, and it's unit point sales. We're actually well into the numbers to move into stage 2. So we've got to just concentrate on those sales. And if you look at and he's put those numbers in that chart that he produced at the end of the year, and you actually can follow them, and you can work out exactly where we are as far as how close we are to actually being able to move to another stage. But the things that he looks at is, well, obviously it's got to be the dollars and cents are very, very critical, important to it. But one of the interesting things, and I don't know whether people have noticed it, we're moving into stage 2 at the moment, but when we go to stage 3 is, and 4 are very, very short stages. And if you look at the numbers of people that are required to change from, we need 2.5 million people to be signed into the group by the end of stage 2. But by the end of stage 4, it only needs to be 3 million. So there's something very significant, because there's only 500,000 people needed to complete stage 3 and 4. So there's something very, very significant going to happen. Now, I've never heard him ever explain what that is, but there's something occurring there, and it's fascinating to see that it's just a short number of people. Now, I think that's got to do with going to the external exchange, that if he can promote that we're up to stage 4 of 10 stages, that's it's an advanced stage of progress. But I've never heard anybody ever explain why those stage 3 and 4 are very short. It's a very, very short stage, but it's something to be aware of. And then the next one to be aware of, and I think that's got more to do with the external exchange, is the big jump after September. That's where we start. After September, there starts to be significant changes in the price of his evaluated crude prices. If you map them out on a graph, they significantly take an upturn. And well, that I can assume is because he's anticipating that that's going to be when the external exchange is going to open in September. But this early change that the only thing that I can think of that's going to happen in the early part of the year, we all know that to get our tokens secured, we have to nominate the exchange that we're going to be trading through. And we all know that the Boston Token Exchange is currently going for their license to be to able to trade in secure tokens. They don't get the final nod on that until the end of next month. They've been granted a provisional license, but there's a 90-day period where other exchanges can lodge a complaint or a protest, or they can sort of block that from actually happening. If they get through to the end of May and it hasn't been blocked, then we can then proceed with our application to get our tokens secured. We actually can't proceed at the moment because the exchange that we want to go through actually isn't licensed to do it. The Boston Token Exchange is the biggest token exchange in the world, but they're not licensed to do security tokens at the moment. So they're doing that. If they get that, then we can nominate them, and that explains anomalies in the pricing of this chart that I'm looking at here. Also, the delay in getting started with the SHICARD program is also going to affect prices later on, and that's another part of why that jumps significantly towards the end of the year. Now, that's Richard Bonnell's theory on it. I haven't had that verified by anybody, but I do spend a lot of time looking at these charts and studying these charts and listening very intently to everything that Andre Gerardo says about what his future plans are. So, Martina, I hope that somehow answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you. And also for the new people, could you just quickly go through the portfolio, like what investments and assets we have in our company, so they also understand that it's not only education, but it's also what the Crew token actually has.
Yeah.
What's it involved? So what's it backed up?
That's next week. I'm not going to have anything to tell you next time I talk to you if I tell you that. I'm not trying to be difficult, but absolutely. I mean, I can send it to you. I don't have it. I can pull it up, but I didn't know that question was going to come up, so I don't have that. It's in my computer, but
Don't worry, Richard. I know what it is. I just wanted you to say it, so our listeners, the new people that are on the Zoom, so they actually have a better understanding, what this portfolio has.
Okay. I mean, we can certainly go through a number of the things in it. With a lot of it, we know what they are. I don't know the specific percentages, but I know that the gold segment is they've got the significant ones are the movement into gold, and obviously the Skyway Transport one. One of the next ones that's going to come off would be, we'll start this diamond production thing. That's going to be one that'll kick off very, very soon. You've got the investments in Sushi Master. They're things that all of these are longer term. People who need to look at this, that probably the significant returns from this company are probably not going to be made in the next 3 years. You will get returns on them, but there's things like what Nathan was talking about earlier, about the VIP club, about enrolling people and doing the networking side of it is going to be probably the more significant area of earning. Andre Gerardo did say in his last webinar that September this year he thought would be a good time to start buying into the high liquid asset areas. He felt that by September, purchases in that area would generate very, very specific and good returns to be purchasing. We've also got that that movie, the production studio. Those things. There's a number of things that are poised to go, and they're not going to roll out one after another. Some of these things are going to hit all in 1 month or in a period of 2 or 3 months. Some things that have been sitting and sitting and sitting will take off, and it's not that's designed to do that. It's just that's the function of how they've come together, and it's so important, Martina, that if you're showing this to new people, that you don't get them focused on something's going to be a quick return. One of the huge pluses that's going to occur to this company after September, that the crypto unit point right now, you could argue that it's a theoretical thing, but when that becomes a secured token, the granting of the security title to it means that the US Securities and Exchange Commission have looked at our costing programs, they've looked at our valuation programs, they've looked at every aspect of the company and they've endorsed it. So when that token goes onto the market at $2, at $5, or whatever it is, it's no longer a theoretical value. It's no longer a hypothetical value. It's actually a secured value, and that is really, really significant. It's why Andre Gerardo is so focused on getting this security thing, because right now we can say that that it's worth this, or it's. I mean, I've seen a theory of you've seen it where he can present figures that show that the tokens actually could be worth $4, but it's trading at 20 cents. So at the moment we can go backwards and forwards and people can argue one way or the other, but once that thing gets endorsed by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the US Securities Exchange Commission, that granting of the security level is endorsed by the entire world. The entire world embraces that functionality and that backing. So when that happens, that token that could be argued is theoretical is going to become very, very real. And if you've got a few 100,000 of those suckers and they're sitting at $5 on an exchange, you just go add up how much money you've suddenly got in your pocket, and that money becomes real. And when it becomes secured, then institutional investors are allowed to buy them. At the moment, they can't. Well, they can buy them quietly and privately if they wanted to, but they can't do it. They're just not legally allowed to. But they will be allowed to once it becomes secured. And that's something, Martina, that if you can focus people on. Right now, it's very hard because we talk about what Tom was saying. You know, I talk about great things, and I think they are great things. But I can see the greatness of it in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. I never bought into this company thinking that a company that is virtually brand new. I know in my own business, it took me probably 6 years of working 7 days a week, working my butt off to get to the point where I started to make really, really good money. I did another business a little while ago that I started, made really good money. Then I got my account hacked, and I got cleaned out. Every cent got taken. So I know what Andre Gerardo's going through when he had some money pinched from him. I know the pain of what you go through. And you know what? you pick yourself up, you dust yourself down, and you start again. The thing is that each time you start again with a little bit more knowledge, so it doesn't take you as long to get there the next time round. And you put things in place and you put measures in place that protect it. And that's something that this company is doing. You know, like he's the first one to admit that there have been things that didn't go well. They didn't go well for us, and that's impacted in dividend values and things like that. And if you're a good investor, you actually look at those things and you say, okay, it's bad luck and it's sad that it happened, but it happens. And what have they done about it? What have they done to stop it? And that's the thing that I think is good. Look, it doesn't impress me that, you know, dividends are 2 parts of nothing. But I understand why it is, because it took me 6 years. You know, 6 years, I got 2 parts of half of nothing. And so it just goes that way. But if they can focus on not looking at it like next week or the week after and realise that they're actually, you know, it's 3 years maybe would be your better return. But the returns are there. And you look at the world is going down at the moment, but you look at the returns of last month, the amount of money that we invested into the portfolio was up 18%. It grew 18% in that 1 month. The value of the actual assets that we have, the valuation of the crypto unit program grew by 6.7%. In a world where everything else is going down, the key performance indicators of our company all went up. And that's what I look at. And I think, okay, that's good, because if we can go up when the rest of the world's going down, if we could even hold our own, if we could hold even while the rest of the world is going down,
Yeah,
we're
absolutely fantastic.
really good.
Richard,
Okay.
somebody was just asking, you know, with all the situation, the coronavirus and everything, I know that we've got a target. How badly is it going to affect it? I know, you know, every company's got the targets and we've got it with Crew, but how likely are we to achieve it?
I think the thing that we have is a huge plus. And you look at a lot of companies who have to supply goods and services to get a revenue. What we supply is an online product. So it's there. And then the only way that it's going to really impact this company is if the internet crashes. If we lose the internet, then yeah, that's going to make things really, really hard. But people who buy our product, we don't have to ship it to them. We don't have to go get it manufactured somewhere and made and shipped, and we don't have to get components from here, there and everywhere to make it and ship it to them. They just go online, press the button, and it's there. So that's something that's a really big plus. Now you can turn and say, but the problem is that if everybody's holding on to their money because they don't, you know, they're not financial, you know, and they want to hang on to their money, that's okay. There's nothing we can do about that. And that will, I'm guessing, slow things down a little bit. But when things do turn, and things will turn, each month we go through, now I don't know how long it's going to take before it turns, but each month we go through, you get closer to that turn. And each month we go through where we produce a level or an increasing return, you become more and more of a prospect for people to invest with. And it's up to us to show people those numbers. The VIP Club, what a brilliant time to begin something like that, where Andre Harato is going to get a constant stream of bankable money that they can be used and it can bankroll things. I mean, that's just a brilliant idea, because unfortunately, what we weren't doing as owners is a lot of us weren't reinvesting in our own business. I mean, my kids will tell you that there was years that they went out, they didn't get a lot of stuff because Dad was investing in the business and rebuilding and setting things up. But in time, the rewards came from that. Now, what we did as a group of owners, we weren't actually doing that. And so Andre Harato has had to more or less grab us by the scruff of the neck and drag us there kicking and screaming to do what a business owner should do. And this VIP club will generate that. And that's a positive thing. And just going back, Martina, to one of the things you're talking about, or what it was, don't know if it was Martina or Nadja, about crew prices. Think about the things that he's doing to create scarcity. You know, people were talking earlier in the year about burning crew and, you know, create scarcity by burning this and burning that. That didn't produce anybody any value. But Andre Harato, he creates scarcity by locking up our crew, first of all, for 350 days. What a brilliant way to take crew off the market. That's a good way of doing it. Then he pays us for staking. He pays us to stake. That gives us value and it takes crew out of the market. We're going to get paid for voting on nodes. Now, I don't know what all of that procedure is, but what I do know is I ran some numbers on staking the other night, and those numbers come out at huge. I mean, people talk about staking 1%. Okay, you stake 1% in May and you carry that across, but then in June you get another 1%. So now all of a sudden 2% of your account is being staked. And you keep adding that up. After 6 or 7 months, you've got 9% of your crew is all earning you 2.5% if you've staked it for 24 months. That starts producing a good supply of interest crew. You take that same time frame and you apply that to the price that crew is going to be in 3 or 4 months' time, it adds up to big numbers. They're really, really big numbers. I mean, it was staggering that the numbers that we'll produce in 6 months just by staking 1%, because it's 1% 6 times, and it's those numbers become huge. And also another very, very interesting way of locking up crew is these free promotions that have these 200 and 150s and 100 crew giveaways. That crew has got to be set aside just in case those people ever come back and redeem them. So that's another way of taking an amount of crew out of the market, but still have them counted as active. It's very, very clever. And that's the greatness of the man and what he's doing, that he's creating these things that really work to our benefit, which ultimately pushes up. That's why these numbers that he produces, you look at those numbers and you think, oh, gee, they're big numbers and they're huge numbers. But give the guy the benefit of the doubt that they weren't numbers that he just didn't wake up one morning and throw some darts at a dartboard and say, oh, well, that's a number we're going to pick. They're thought through numbers, and he knows the brokers that he's got in touch with who are the ones that are going to bring the big investors in. I don't know them. I don't know who he talks to and who he has his plans with, but he does. And I think that we've got to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that, yeah, sure, he'll be the first person to admit that he says that he made that one decision with the guy who was going to set up the exchange for him last year. He didn't vet a number of people. What that guy told him cranked his tractor, and he made an impulsive decision. He went with it, and it turned out that it blew up in his face and he was wrong. And he's the first person to put his hand up to say, I screwed that one up, I'll never do that one again. So yeah, but he puts his hand up when he if he makes a mistake, but if he doesn't, just because he does something that we don't understand, we probably need to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that he's got his hand on the tiller and he's steering the ship properly. I don't even know whether that answers the question that was asked, but it was a good story.
You did well, Richard.
I forgot the question.
Yes,
I'll just
definitely.
add-
Thank you for the answer.
Okay,
I do
Martina.
agree. Andrew
All right.
Hamilton is great. Yes, thank you.
Thanks,
Alrighty.
Richard.
Richard, I'll just add to that and to Martina's couple of questions. Firstly, the nodes. I'm only getting this information being the Leadership Council, which is one down from the the local council, one down from the Leadership Council. The nodes are going to be, I think they're going to be very valuable to the company as well. Now, for those that used to remember, when you used to get Wi-Fi, you used to get a set-top box or set-top box that would sit on your TV. So the nodes are going to be similar to a box that will obviously be registered into your telephone line. They will act as a high-end powered device that's going to be able to mine cryptos. So I don't know if anyone's here into cryptos or knows about mining cryptos or knows about what's going to happen to Bitcoin next month with the halving. So this mining is a device the company has created. I think it's around 2 to maybe 3,000 units possible. Not 100% sure on the price. There was a Zoom call done by Rita Ashen and one of the Russian ladies a couple of weeks ago. And they are looking to bring this in. And it's happening. I think Rita's taking on the first one. It'll be part of the VIP club. That's why, again, as I stipulated, the VIP club will be valuable. But the benefit to the nodes is that you will be able to utilize this particular purchase in your home at your own time to be able to mine cryptos. And the idea of this particular node is that it'll enable other outside investors to come in and hire your node device to be able to allow them to mine cryptos as well. You will also be paid a particular referral fee as well as a commission on outside investors coming into the CRU pool or the VIP club to then be able to lease or hire out your node to mine cryptos. So it's quite another lucrative investment market and opportunity, as well as a brilliant idea by Andre and I guess the financial team to do. That's pretty much what I know at this stage on the nodes. They are still working in progress, but they aren't far away from, sort of launching that down the track. I'd probably say mid to the end of the year at this stage, but it's another, investment market there. And if those that are understanding cryptos and what's happening in the digital world that we are moving into, this is going to be quite lucrative. Just as well, to probably add to Richard's explanation to Martina, Andre has got a very smart financial team as well, and now as a new legal team. But if anyone that does shares or share trading or crypto trading as such, you'd understand that his financial or investment marketing team in this particular climate right now that the world is in, he wouldn't go out there to lose money. And any smart businessman or any investor wouldn't go there to invest money to lose it. You'd be there to make money. So anything in the way of shares or cryptos, he would generally have insurance for one on those or a safe stop. So what would happen is that if a share is going to climb down or it's going to go up, it's going to hit its peak and then it's going to drop. And in this market, we've seen a lot of that in the share market. You would generally have a cutoff period, which would be your safe stop, or as well as you'd insure that. So if a particular stock or share, whichever they've invested in is met in the cryptos and share market, they would generally offload those to reduce their loss. And they would take what profits they have actually maintained out of that share and put it into a higher level investment. So that would also be able to utilize the benefit or the value of the CRU pool. So hitting that 404 is not just, yes, the Skyway shares of 2.7 billion, on top of the gold, which is the most safest, one of the most safest commodities in this current market. But there's also silver and many other commodities is there as well. But at least then, if there is a particular losses in those stock or cryptos and stock markets, then he would offload those and put them into other investments. We have got large levels of real estate, if those that don't know, in Thailand. There is designs for, which Andre did show a couple of weeks ago, for hotels. timeshare apartments, which would be leased out, apartments for sale, and then apartments to purchase, which would be, you know, probably put to a price to us current investors. But whatever goes on with that real estate, it's all profit shared back into the pool. And that's in Thailand, Russia. There's a couple of states in Russia they have it, and in Crimea. And if you don't know where Crimea is, it's on the Black Sea coastline, in Georgia and Ukraine. And there's all, you know, diagrams and opportunities there for that. The basalt industry is another massive one that they're looking at. From the webinar 2 weeks ago by Entree, he did say that before the coronavirus kicked in, that the company that they had partnered in with was doing extremely well. And there was some massive, you know, forthcomings for the company with the basalt being brought in. However, the C19 is closed or slowed production right down. Yet he has big things for that once the bans are lifted and that basalt industry to take off. So, you know, overall, the pool is not just like Richard said, it's not based on, you know, one or two commodities or, you know, there's many different investments. And there's even investments that we probably haven't heard of just yet that aren't as high a level as what your gold, your stocks, your cryptos, your real estate, etc., your basalt, your movies, and all that is. But, you know, it doesn't just come about over 5 or 6 years. I think 26,000 invested in 2014 has been very smart in snippets. Now, he might have put 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, thousands in certain investments and grown that. But then as we're purchasing more EIPs, it's also assisting him to be able to develop that pool to what it is today into multiple markets. So, you know, that's in itself is very lucrative. Plus, I think you did say about the Boston Exchange, Richard, yes, that it was something that they certainly look at, and they've been cleared by the SEC. We are going to be on Ethereum at the moment, for those that aren't aware, where we're currently at, and then possibly creating our own blockchain, which he's just introduced the company to do so. And again, that was on 2 Saturdays ago, or webinar back in early April, that, you know, that company is now currently working on our own blockchain. So I can see some really big things coming in around August, September, because we've got the white book still to be released yet. And I don't think they will release that until they're ready to go with their own blockchain, and it'll all be marketed in one big hit. So that's going to be some exciting times. Also, there's 80 billion, crypto tokens to be released with our crew pool. There's 20 in the first stage, 30 in the first stage, 20 in this stage, and 20 in the next phase. So phase 1, there was 30. Phase 2, there's 20. Phase 3, there's 20. We've kept 10 for general liquidity. So when Richard was saying about the price, you know, possibly being $1, $2, or $3, yes, it's very viable, very viable, very possible, because they're holding off very big sharks until they just want to see the white paper, they want to see the launch, and what's going to happen with this crew upon launch. Then they're going to bring in the big guys that are going to come in and buy bulk, you know, hundreds of millions of these crypto tokens, which will then increase our price. Now, depending on, and for those that do shares or crypto trading, whatever it may be, you know, not everything goes straight up, and not everything goes up and up and up and up and up. It will take a small plateau out. It will go sideways. It may dip down. But if we do follow it, and then we consistently are monitoring it, as with the investors that we do bring in on top of the value that's kept high with the niche that Andre has created of this particular token or tokens and coin, it will continue to climb at a steady rate. And I think if we continue building our businesses as we were here sharing this, that will enable more EIPs to be purchased, which bases on my simple equation. It's just a numbers game. And more EIP purchasing is going to increase the value of him purchasing more assets, which increases the total value of that pool, which will slowly continue to incline the price of the token. So there's some big things coming. And yeah, Richard, what you said, and hopefully Martina, that answers some of your questions as well. But there are exciting times for this company.
True. Yep, absolutely.
And there's nothing out there like it. We've said that. Richard, you've said that. I've spoken to people here in Perth all the time about it. It is a niche and what he's developed. You know, it's unique. He's a smart businessman, and he knows what he's doing. And I think now he's also got the right people behind him, because Richard, you did say, yes, there was some problems with a few people earlier on in the piece, and we'd possibly lost a little bit of money. And I'm sure he's there to peg that back. And he's aware of what had happened in the past, and I don't think he'll make the same mistake twice. So, you know, all investing's a learning curve like anything. It takes time, and you learn from your mistakes, but you're there just to snip away. You invest a little bit at a time. If that continues to build profit, when you build it up. and you invest more. But when we're fully backed by gold, silver, and those gold production mines are in operation both in Russia and Tanzania and Ghana. I believe they're looking at other countries, as is Australia now. So, there's a lot that he's focusing on with gold and diamonds and other commodities and minerals. So that's also quite exciting for where we're heading. Hopefully that helps everyone.
Yep. Any other questions? Anything? No? Yes? No?
Okay, I'll ask. See, Richard, I have two things in mind which I just want to clarify with you. One is, I think in a coming stages, this VIP club fees, it has to be mandatory for everyone. Because if anybody wants to exchange his unblocked CRUs, he has to pay that fees to be in that club. Whatever, like say the percentage 35 and 75% would be there as a discount, again that person has to be there in that particular group. So is it been something which has been coming up mandatory for everybody in the future? That is one question. I just want to have a little clarification on this.
Sorry, I missed that last part of that question. Sorry, mate. Say that last bit again.
What last part? That's, I just want to have certain clarification on this particular topic. How it goes about.
How the fee structure goes about, or how paying for it goes about.
Yeah, see, what I'm trying to say, like say, in a coming future,
Yeah.
this fee, whatever, like say for the consultant or the managers or the president,
Yeah.
this fees would be levied on. But on the other contrary, if we see, this would be mandatory for everyone. Is it true? Because he cannot exchange. Because he cannot exchange his unlocked CRUs. He cannot buy any kind of other product from the market. He cannot go for any kind of exchange, whatever, like say XYZ upcoming features within the club or within the company.
Yeah. Look, there's an aspect of the VIP club that needs to be looked at when we get an external exchange, and people can externally, like someone from outside the company can trade and start buying crew, how that impacts the VIP club. Because if I'm in the VIP club and my brother Philip isn't, but he wants to buy crew on the external exchange, is he going to be able to buy it, or is there a fee that he's going to have to pay that I don't have to pay because I'm in the VIP club? These are things that it needs to be sorted out. I've never heard the explanation given. How does someone who's not part of the company at all, who comes to the external exchange to buy and start trading in crew, how does he get to do that? How does he get there, other than I know that he's going to go through a landing page that is specific to doing that, but is there a fee that he's going to pay that I don't pay because I'm in the VIP club? I don't know. But I think you're going to find that it will be mandatory. I mean, I spoke to Andrew Hawkes about, like with my family, I mean, I basically pay for all my family to be in it. And was there going to be like a family rate for a VIP family rate? No, there isn't. Everyone, I'll be paying for each of my kids for their accounts if I'm going to be staking their crew and doing the stuff with their crew. And that's life, mate. That's, if you want to be in the club, you're going to have to pay the fees to be in the club. Now you can, and we did a little exercise in the education group about how you can do a system where you consolidate your crew into one account to minimise how many account fees you have to pay. But account fees are going to be mandatory right across the board. You're not going to be able to do too many things in the company. And that's been specifically set up to first of all, ensure that there's a continual bankable supply of money coming into the company, but also to give people some real chance of value to recoup their money that they're putting into it to be able to pay for it. So, you know, I think if you think about what Nathan said before about nodes, and you think about staking and things like that, there's going to be a few different ways that you could actually participate in a number of money-making
Right.
ventures and income things that are going to offset that cost.
Right, that's what I said. Ki like say in the coming future, it will be mandatory for everyone. And if we have
Yes.
been talking about 100 million or 1 million subscribers, then you calculate and multiply by 10. So that gives like say a potential of earning for the company.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, in a recent webinar that Mila gave, she was talking about what the money's going to be spent on, and there's going to be a lot of money spent. There's the commission. There's the bonus, the VIP bonus, but a lot of money is also going to be spent in promotional activities within the VIP club too. And then according to the Presidential Council, they will make a decision on what aspect of VIP membership fees are transferred into the asset pool or something like that. So it's going to be a great source of income for Andre Harato that is bankable. And that's the thing that he's concerned about. One of the experiences that we had late last year was where the cruise sales just basically petered out. And he can't run a business without having that bankable amount of money coming in all the time. So by having a VIP club that has a lot of features that will make people want to be in the VIP club, he creates a bankable and sustainable income flow. So it's clever. He wins and we win. And the company have said that they really didn't think their costing structures, their costings, that most people would not be adversely affected by fees for the VIP club.
Richard, I'll add to that too, without stealing your thunder.
Yeah, man.
Sharik, it's not a compulsory thing to join. It's a personal preference, yet it's mandatory to pay a monthly fee. The minimum is 10 US up to 100. I've got a timetable here of what those costs will be per rank. With what Richard had said is that, and this is what I've heard, the main reason why the company has developed a VIP club membership is simply for legal reasons, mainly. And the idea of that is to pool and synchronize the company's education platforms and its investments into a membership base with all of its members under one heading, so it can legally and abide by the rules of their legal department, and to invest in countries around the world where we don't have to have a financial license as such, because we've got a membership license. And within the membership license, with our pool of preferably, I think a target was, if we have 1 million partners in the VIP club, the company will possibly make up to 7.7 million plus US. And the reason is that having the membership is synchronizing everything. It makes it easier for us to invest and have members invest into the VIP club in all the countries that we are partnering into. And that's a lot of the reasons why the VIP club has come about. I think that came from Andrew Hawkes in one of his Facebook calls. So it is going to be unique in itself in the VIP club. It will generate income, like Richard said as well. The idea is that you are going to be, Andre has created a banking platform within the VIP club, so that the depository, term depository that we've created from the unstaked crew points is going to enable people to build up their interest on those unstaked ones and unlocked ones. So you're going to have, if you're not going to be buying into particular investments or educations that they're going to be offering, you can put your money into a term deposit and leave it there for a maximum of 24 months and get 2.5%. And you're still involved in that crew. involved in the VIP club, where you might also all of a sudden see something that you like in the Basalt or the franchise of a Sushi Mastery, and you might go, well, I'm in the club, I'm going to invest into that because I've got someone else that's interested to join me, and that we might buy a franchise. You're going to get discount rates on what also you're going to be purchasing into. So everything that we're currently doing amongst the API back office and in the crew is going to be all formulated and put structurally and correctly into this VIP club membership. Now, I don't know if you know of too many memberships.
I do understand, Nathan, about it. And see, my another stuff into it is at present, we have just been buying EIPs, right? So we can add another these $100 or $500 per individual as an education fee in our books for the future. That is what you're trying to say?
Sorry. So the EIPs that you're saying, when we buy them in the future, they will be discounted inside the VIP club?
No. My question is, as if now we are buying the EIPs, and in our books, we are just been showing it that we are buying our education for the purpose, we are investing the money for the purpose of this particular education. So when this fees, this VIP membership fees would be levied on, we can add on this yearly basis, talk about $100 or $500, depending upon your monthly payment. As what, in which particular stuff? We are giving, like, say, membership fees for this particular organization for the education, to receive the education, something like that. Can you elaborate something on this?
Yeah, so your maximum amount you're going to pay is $100 US per month. That's
that is so 100 and 500, because 50 is also been the other part.
Yeah, so
10 is 10 is for agents.
You're going to get discounts on what the company is going to be offering upon certain education modules. You know, there won't be a discount on EIPs, but you'll get promotional benefits to the EIPs in the club. So for those that are in the club, they're going to get a lot more benefits than those that personally choose not to take the club, whether they've got $10.
That's fine. That's fine, Nathan. My query is not been about the further discounts. My query is, if we just want to put it on our books, what will show in our books? That we are buying a membership for getting the education products, something like that. But I want an answer on that.
Yes,
Nothing for the...
Yeah, I think what happens is you can buy a pack specifically into the API that has no crew attached to it. Okay,
Yes,
so
that's
you can
what I'm
buy
asking,
an
yeah.
education pack that is purely education only, and if that's all you bought, you can circulate your way around that API back office, and you're never going to get anywhere else other than education. You're never
Yes.
going to get out of the API until you, and the trick is, what the legal people have said, is that allows us to go into any country in the world and legitimately, openly, and straight up say this is an education thing, because you can sell that and that's all they're ever going to get. Now, if a person gets into the API, into that first part, they can then pay $10, which opens the door to allow them to get into the investment and into the next part of the club, the next sort of, but it's totally separate from the actual education. So there will be on your books, in our books, we can sell an education thing. Even those people who buy those free things, they can get entry into the API, but their free crew goes into the crew side of things, and they don't get access to that until they've paid their $10 to get across to it. They really are locking it down. When I first started, it was one of those things that it was kind of like almost a joke that everybody knew we were buying an investment, but we said it was education, because that got around the problem of you can't sell an investment unless you're licensed. Now what the company are doing, now the company is feeding them straight down the line. There's no grey area. It's dead set black and white. That's what you're getting. You're buying an education package. If you get crew with that education package, you don't get access to it until you pay that $10. If you buy an EIP that's got gifted crew in it, if you don't pay the $10, it will be there waiting for you, but you don't get access to it until you paid your $10.
Right.
Does that help?
In other, yeah, it's right. And again, in a simpler words, we can say, like, say, this has been your access to the university, where you can choose which particular course that you want to buy further, and then you can go in those particular stuff. But to get entering into, like, say, university, you have to pay monthly this $10 as a fee.
Yeah. If you're talking about the $10 to get into the VIP club, or just the $10 to go from API into the CAU section?
No, for the VIP club only, because whatever we have purchased, that has already been taken up.
If you think of the VIP club as being an area where there are specific resources designed to help you expand your business, when you pay that $10, that's what you're getting access to. That you're actually getting access to resources for your business.
I understood. That's what I'm saying. Just to enter, like, say, university, which is offering different courses, we have to pay the entry fees or the monthly fees or the membership fees, $10 a month, to get access to those courses.
Yes.
That's what my saying is.
Okay. All right. Yes. I agree with you.
I got it.
Whatever that was, I agree. I got there in the end. Well done. Go, Richard.
Yeah, I got it.
I figured it out.
I got it.
Anybody else?
Richard?
Not a complicated question like that last one. Something really simple.
Richard, can you hear me?
Yeah, mate.
Hold on. Hi, Richard. It's John here from the UK.
Yeah, mate.
First of all, thanks for the meeting. Very informative. You made a comment earlier regarding the traders improving liquidity somewhere around August, September time, which obviously is exceptionally encouraging. But what's your view on the liquidity via selling unlocked tokens for May, June, July, please?
I think, I reckon, like, that's going to be one of the best times to actually shouldn't really say this out on an open webinar because it's going to ruin my little plan. I think that's the best time to actually buy, because if you look at that chart, I'm just looking at the chart now. What are we looking at? Beginning of July, a crew is going to be worth, they're anticipating it's going to be worth $1. So if you were to just quietly hang on to buy a few of them, in 8 weeks, they're anticipating, which is heading up towards the opening of the exchange, that's going to go up 400% to $4. So if I was a trading man, which I am, and I've just ruined any chance I got of ever making a quid out of it, because now everybody knows about it, the trick will be to start quietly buying a few of them the trick would be to start buying them now and sit on them that long. But if you can't afford to sit on them that long, would be just quietly put your hands on as many of those little suckers as you can, because when you get into the other side of that exchange opening, at the beginning of October, those things are going to be worth, according to Andre's chart, those suckers are going to be worth $8. If you bought them for $1 at the beginning of July, and you hang on to them till July, August, September, you hang on to an asset for 3 months, and then you can sell it and make an 800% profit. That's a good return on your money. And
but that's only via peer-to-peer though, Richard, not via traders, because there's no other people that are buying at the moment, I believe.
No, well, but by the time July comes, the exchange will be open to outside, and this is where traders who are external to our company, who actually understand trading. That's where they're going to come in. And this is where you feel sorry for a lot of people who have crew in this company. As soon as these little suckers hit $1, they are going to think like the pearly gates just open, and they are going to sell those suckers like you got no idea. And there are going to be people the other side of the exchange who are traders. They're going to be saying, come to daddy, I'll take all of them. I'll take everyone that I can get my hands on, because they know that they've only got to wait 2.5 months and those things are going to be worth $8.
So did you say July, Richard? Sorry, interrupting you. Did you say July you're likely to have external traders on, or the facility?
Yeah, well, they will, if the exchange is scheduled to be opened in June, if that's the plan, to have it open by the end of June, which was on that last webinar plan, that means, and the company will be promoting and advertising the opening of that exchange. The people in the crypto world will know that it's open, and they will have been looking at the Ethereum pages, and they'll be looking at our own. We've got our own page where you can look up our crew on, what was it, Maria? EOS, on the EOS platform. You can see it. But those people will be watching what's going on, and they will know that if that's trading up around $1, and these people, they will know what happened because they've done it before. They've traded and they've done these things before. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the company won't have done enough homework, and they won't have done enough study to actually, and the thing is that we've had this chart given to us, like we've had it what, 3 weeks, about 3 weeks now, and there'd be still a lot of people that probably have not looked at it and have not seen the anomalies in where things are jumping, and tried and worked out why is that jump. That jump occurs for a reason. But there will be a lot of people that will sell their crew, and then when they realise that once you've sold that sucker, it's too expensive to buy back, because by the time you realise you made a mistake, that'll be 2 or 3 months down the track, and then you go and find out how much it is to buy it back, and it'll cost you an arm and a leg. And they won't do it, It's really sad, but you just know. I had a conversation a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago now, with Armand, and he was saying that him and Andre Harata, that they know that the sad thing is going to happen, that when that thing hits $1, so many people are going to think it's already Christmas, and they're going to make a big mistake, and they're going to sell it, and there'll be people on the exchanges who are traders. They're going to just come and they're going to sweep, they're going to take the lot. And people, we're not going to be doing like we're doing at the moment, where everybody's trading at bottom dollar and everybody's scrimping and shaving at the bottom dollar. If someone's going to make 800% on something by hanging on to it for 2 months, he's not going to care if he makes 750%, and he will happily take the thing off you without negotiating the price. And people will think, wow, he's a nice bloke, isn't he? He didn't even negotiate me down or anything. But he hasn't done you a favour. He's done himself a favour. And people will realise that, come September, and there'll be a lot of people who'll be saying, gee, how come nobody told me? And you sort of say, well, mate, it got explained to you in a webinar, every webinar for the last 5 months. What do you think we've talked about in prices? We've been telling you for months, but some people are still going to make that mistake.
Yeah, Richard, but you said that.
Thanks for that.
For you, John.
You know that you said that if you've got crew, why sell it? I mean, like me, like many, we've bought some off the exchange simply because, by the end of July or when it hits $2 that we can sell it. I mean, if you're buying for a purpose and you want to sell it when it gets to $2, obviously it's a lot cheaper to buy now than when it gets to $2, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, a lot of
absolutely.
people
And-
say,
and-
yeah, like a lot of people are saying that, why would you sell if you're going to get monthly dividend on it? But there's some like myself who have bought it simply for a purpose by the, when it gets to $1 or $2 that I want to sell simply for a reason.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, a lot of people have done that.
Yeah, and I've done that. I've got. I knew that to fund a retirement plan that I did, I knew I was going to spend 60. I was going to sell 60,000 crew, 63,000 crew, in this next couple of months. I know that, but at the beginning of this year, I bought 64,000 to replace them at a really cheap price. But yeah, look, absolutely, that's the beautiful thing about this whole crew program, that if you work out that there's something that you want to buy and you work out that you only need, if the price is at $2 and you spend 500 crew and you've bought those crew at 15 cents, well, you're doing the same markup that bloke who's going to buy it for $1 and sell it for $8. You've got a better return on your money buying it at 15 cents and selling it for $2 than what he's got buying it $1 and selling it for $8. So you're absolutely right. The principle, and these guys who trade these sort of things, that's what they do. They're not going to hang on to them. They will be happy to walk out with a 300 or 400% increase, because then they go take that money and they go trade it somewhere else and they'll make money, and then they'll come back and buy more later. So if you work out your return, if you bought it for 15 cents and you sell it for $2, that return is really good return.
It's mind blowing. I know, I was looking at the figures and it's mind blowing. I mean, especially it's like if you're saving up for something, I mean, it's going to take you years and years. Whereas this thing, okay, we've got plenty of crew that we bought on EIP. Let's buy it on the exchange. When it hits $2, let's sell it. And the figures are mind blowing.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of traders, a lot of investors, they actually will buy something and they will have a sell price set with it, that they are going to sell that particular share or stock. They don't, not when I say they don't care how far it goes up, they have a strategy that says, when I buy this at this price, if it drops down, I'm going to sell it if it drops down. But if it goes up, I'm going to sell it when it goes up. Now, that's a legitimate strategy in buying and selling shares. There's a lot of people that make a lot of money doing that, and they don't look at what they could have got if they'd hung on to it longer. They look at what they've actually got in their hand and they go, hey, that was pretty cool, that strategy worked, and they go look for another share or another stock that they can do the same thing again, buy low and then sell when it gets to a price. But it's a very, very legitimate trading strategy to do exactly what you did with buying for $2, buying for 15 cents to sell at $2.
Definitely.
Any smart investor, like you said, Richard, would want to get their seed capital back. And if you have a strategy, you might look at $1 or $2 and say, well, okay, I'm prepared to offload some of mine because I want my seed capital back, but I'm going to play game and play ball with the rest of what you got and see the token climb. I'm just going to add too, that I've already said this, they're already holding back some very big sharks currently waiting for the opening of the Crew token. Remember, there's 20 billion crypto tokens on the market. Now, we might have already taken up a small portion of those, but they're already holding back sharks at the moment that'll come in and buy hundreds of millions, if not billions of those tokens, which will increase our price. And just as something else, I'm going to let you all in. Andre Armans, Musa Armans, and a lot of the President's Council have been heavily involved with Eric Worre. Now, for those that don't Eric Worre is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, multi-level marketing investors in the world. Got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in his business line. He, with some of his investors, are already looking at this Crew token. So without a doubt, they're all just going to sit and wait and see what happens, see how the market goes, see upon launch day, see where it takes off to, see where it sits and plateaus a little bit. And they'll come in and they'll pump up that price by buying a lot of those. And that's something that I think that TNG or Armans has probably been working behind the scenes with some of these big investors. So it is going to take off. I think it'll rocket. my own personal feeling, I think it would be, it will plateau to a degree. It may take a small dip. Not everything climbs and climbs. It will take a small little dip. But then all of a sudden you'll get an injection of capital and then you watch it climb again. And that's how, it rolls. It's just the way that the ball's played. But, it would be smart, like Richard said, to get some of your seed capital back upon waiting. If you've got a plan, you've got a strategy, see what happens if it hits 50 cents, hits $1, hits $2. Offload a little bit. If you put, $100, $1,000, $5,000 into this, sell a few. This is not advice or anything. It's just, something people do to be able to, be smart about the way you're investing into this investment pool in the cryptos. So
I think also another thing to be aware of is the fact that, and we've talked about it in other meetings, is that the dividend is paid to the person, or the bonus is paid to the person who owns the crew on the day the dividend is paid. So you could be someone who you could own a particular crew for 20 days of the month and sell it to someone 2 days before the dividend is declared, and that person gets the dividend on the day that they buy it. So they may offer you a price that you may think, oh, beauty, that's a great, I'll sell at that price. But he may also be buying it because the dividend's just around the corner, and he not only does he score the dividend on it, that he will also score that will push the price up. So even if it does what Nathan said, where it plateaus and even drops back a little bit, it isn't going to drop back that far that he ends up losing money, and he can afford to sell out at a flatter price because he's picked up the dividend in the process. So he's got a big bite by getting the dividend payment. He can afford to offset the price when he sells it, so he can grab his money and go. It's a very clever strategy. And then what those people will do is they will go and trade elsewhere and do whatever they want to do. But next month they'll come back just before the same thing happens again, and they'll do the same thing again the next month. And people will get in a habit of knowing that the 2 times you're seriously going to buy crew is a couple of days before the intrinsic value of the crew goes up, which is the base rate of crew. When it goes up, if you have a look at ours now, our base rate is 15 cents. Now the spread changes that, but the base rate is 15 cents. And that goes, according to this chart, it goes to 20 cents when we move into stage 2. Now, if it goes there around about stage 2, that means the base rate goes up 30%. So you're going to make 30% on your money just by following the base rate. Now, if you look at the next month, the base rate goes from 40 cents to $1. So that's going up 125%. So you've got to watch you've got to watch these floating prices of crew, because you could buy crew at the beginning of June. Just buy some. You actually buy it at the end of May, before the price jumps. You buy it at the end of May and sit on it for 4 weeks. You'll make 125% on your money just for doing that, just by buying it at the right price, at the right time. And these are things that we all have to learn how to do, so we maximise. We get the return. But these are all the things that, unfortunately, we're getting into it early. These are all the things that we were going to be talking about in the next webinar that we're going to do. Talking about more about the nuts and bolts of how you actually make money and how the company makes money with crew. Any other thoughts or comments or questions?
Richard?
One thing I just want to ask, Richard,
Yeah, mate.
like say the people in the event which happened last year, that's in October, they have bought like say a package, that is for they will be getting up 1 lakh, matlab 100,000 CRUs plus 100,000 more CRUs. So instantly after attending the event, they got those 100,000 CRUs. But after 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, they got their bonuses of another 100,000 CRUs. So how those are going to be exchanged, or how those going to be unlocked in a person's account?
Yeah, but anything that you get as a bonus takes
That'll take
540
540.
days. Yeah,
Okay.
it takes 540 days to unlock, and then the
Okay.
unlocking procedure then is the same as what it was for your. You'll only get 1% once it's unlocked, and then 30 days later you'll get 1%. And 30 days later, but you got to wait 540 days for it to unlock,
Okay.
rather than
So
350.
all right. So the basics is कि whatever I purchase directly from the back office, that has a blocking period of 340 days, and whatever I got in bonuses, either through my downline or through any event or through any promotion, those gets unlocked after 540 days. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. Cool.
Correct. Anything else? Or
Richard,
Yo.
one last question, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
mate,
not sure this is for the next meeting. Just a comment with regard to the 3 different coins, the stable coin, utility coin, derivative. Is it something you want to comment on now, or is that another meeting?
we can, I mean, there's a lot of that until we actually get all the details on it. I mean, we know that, yeah, basically that we're going to have 3 things. We're going to have a secure token in the CRU. We're going to have a utility token, which is tied to it, which is a lot more flexible to buy and sell and swap and trade. And we're going to have a stable coin, which will be there doing the function of a stable coin, just giving people an anchor to deposit money in to take out the rises and falls in trading. But we don't, there really hasn't been anything more said about it. And I know that in that webinar, that last webinar we had where they were talking about the white book, that what happens with the US Securities Exchange Commission if we release information before it has been given to them. Let me start the other way. If after we've given information to them, if then people copy and try to copy what happened with Ethereum, if they do that again, the US Securities Exchange Commission have the authority and have the capacity to trace down who it was, who the actual person was who does these fraudulent things, and they can be prosecuted. But if we release information before the US Security Exchange Commission is given it, we're on our own. So they're not going to release anything at all that's going to give anybody a hint as to what we're going to be doing until they've actually got it delivered to the US Securities Exchange Commission, because that's our protection, that we can't do anything about these people that sell these pink and these green and purple crew things. We can't do anything about them. What they're doing is not fair and it's not reasonable, but unfortunately we can't do anything about them. We can't do anything about it. But if we do what we're doing with Crew and our utility coins and our stable coin, and we release information before it's registered with the Security Exchange Commission, we're on our own as far as being able to have any recourse against someone who tries to copy and tries to defraud people by producing something that's a lookalike. So I doubt whether there is going to be a great deal of information released other than really, stuff that really isn't going to affect, by saying it's going to be tied to Crew, no one's going to be able to do too much about that. pretty much everybody in the crypto space would know the function of a stable coin. So that's not going to be anything new, but anything that Andre feels or the legal team feels could be specific enough to hurt the release of CRU on the exchange, they're not going to. We are not going to get to hear about it until the US Securities Exchange Commission has had it registered with them.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you for that, Richard.
All right. Anything else?
Excuse me, Richard. This is Joshua here. I just want to know when is the best time to buy and sell CRU at the moment? To buy and sell CRU? When's the best time?
Well, right now would be a really good time to buy it. 2 days out from an intrinsic price rise, you're just about to hit a 30% price rise. So right now would be a really good time to buy some. And so right now would be a really bad time to sell some. So that's the drama of exchanges. So unless you're in a must sell scenario, you try and, I mean, what I've had people ask me, the thing that I look at when I think about it is that when you sell your CRU, you pretty much need to consider it's gone forever. It's gone. You've just said goodbye to it. And that's a permanent scenario. So if you're selling it, is what you're buying equally permanent? If you were selling some to pay your house, say you're going to pay your mortgage off, well, that's a pretty permanent sort of function to go sell some for. So that's probably a good idea because you're giving up something you're going to give up forever for something that you're going to gain forever. But if you sell CRU, which you're going to give up forever for a colour TV, my goodness, you're going to love that TV for the first few months. You're going to stroke it. You're going to dust it. You're going to look at it from umpteen different angles. And about 4 months later, it's going to be, yeah, big deal, it's a colour TV. And you're going to be looking for your next fix to get a next big buzz. And again, I'm not giving anybody advice, but I'm just saying, mate, measure what you're selling them for compared to what you're giving up and what you're getting. But right now, you always want to buy CRU before a significant price rise. You definitely want to be just quietly buying some suckers before those external exchanges open. You definitely be wanting to buy some before the CRU. When that CRU goes to be a secured token, that is you'll see a spike in the price of CRU when that thing gets announced that it's been granted its secure token status. The price of CRU will spike. So as a speculator, if you're a speculator, you may go and buy some 3 or 4 days before that announcement's due to try and cash in on that spike. Now, you've got to take the punt that it might not get announced. But you do need to, but these are things that are going to happen. You look at things in the world that is there a significant, like Christmas time, people are going to need money. So they'll either they'll be selling CRU to make money, to get money. That thing that Najma was talking about, someone might stake CRU to simply sell at Christmas so they've got Christmas money. So that'd be a good time to be buying them. Warren Buffett always gives you the advice of the best time to buy is when everybody else is selling, and the best time to sell is when everybody else is buying.
So it goes vice versa, doesn't it? Like in that thing, in sort of way, doesn't it? So when the value goes up or down of the CRU, so if I want to sell it, is it the best time to sell it when the CRU goes down or up?
Yeah, I think one of the things, and Nathan touched on it, you've got to be the structure of CRU is very different to like a coin or a token that has a perceived value. The Crew is an asset-backed token, and the only real thing that's going to drive that price down if the assets that are backing it drop in value. Unlike a, say like Bitcoin, for example, Bitcoin will go up and down according to perspective, what people believe it's going to be in 5 minutes' time, in 10 minutes' time, in 2 days' time, in a year's time. That's what affects its ultimate price going up and down. The Crew, however, has got an asset backing that people can tangibly see. And if that asset backing is going up, the Crew price will not go down. It might go sideways because you've had a little spike with a dividend being paid, or you've had a little sort of adjustment there. But as an overall item of purchase, it's going to be a non-volatile increasing asset. And it's something to just be aware that it will not act the same way as a cryptocurrency will act, where it'll bounce around a little bit.
Oh, thank you for that.
Sorry?
Thank you for that. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Sorry, Yasmin? No. All right.
Excuse me, Richard.
Yeah, mate.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I apologize for my tardiness and everything. It was 3 o'clock in the morning here in Nevada when you guys started your webinar. But just from what I've caught on and everything at the tail end and what I've been following within the Telegram group and everything, I mean, it's really exciting. And Richard, I talked to you about this personally, but like I said, my standpoint and everything is, for me and everything, is that I've pretty much classified myself as an investor. And within this VIP group, I mean, am I misreading things, or am I going to be required to bring in certain amount of clients and everything to be in the VIP group, or can I just join the VIP group?
No, you can just join. You can just join, and you can join for a month. You can join for every month. It's a very, very, like Nathan said earlier, it's a very, very free will team to, club to join. You can join, but you aren't going to be able to do too much of specific things without being in it, and that's been set up deliberately for that purpose. So if you're looking at this as an investor, you are pretty much going to need to be in the VIP club.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I really thank you and Michelle and everyone. I've gained a lot of knowledge since I've gotten into the chat group, and
Okay. Terrific. That's good. That's great. Good. Thanks for that too, mate. And I'm still looking forward to that barbecue.
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, I cooked those ribs on Saturday, and I thought about you. So
Good. Keep thinking.
First vacation is coming to Australia, my friend.
Yeah, when I've got the barbecue set up. Yes,
Good deal.
Michelle.
Richard,
Yes.
can I ask you one thing? I mean, we've got a lot of new people on here as well, and the ones that have got the free Crew,
Yeah.
when they signed up. What is your advice to them?
Don't sell them. Hang on to them and love them like they're your best friend. No, seriously. What a person, if they took a package because it was a way of, gee, I don't know whether this is for me or isn't it for me or something like that, my best advice to them is to keep asking questions. Come to webinars like this or go into groups, and I would nominate our educational group. Go to the person who organised the free package and ask questions. Whatever question you've got, ask it. Don't guess at an answer. Ask the question. Get yourself verified. Do that, but then don't let time go past and 6 or 8 months later you think, actually I might have a go at this, because 6 or 8 months later the price of those crew are going to be 800 or 900 times higher. Like they're going to be percentage wise, that take your free crew, but if you've taken it just for the sake of hanging on to it and selling it in 5 years' time, well then fine, get yourself verified and do that. The company's offered it to you and you can do it. But if you took it as a way of saying, gee, I'm 6 of one, half and a dozen of the other, whatever that bit is that's holding you back, ask those questions that you've got in the back of your mind. Ask those questions and keep asking them. If you get an answer and you think, well, that was the biggest load of crap I've ever heard, hang on to your crew still, because it'll happen. This thing will go, and then just find a better person to ask the question of, because you will get some answers. I've heard some answers from people that scare the living daylights out of me, that you sort of think, how would a person even dream up that as an answer? Like try and talk to your upline, whoever your upline is, and ask the question, and then just ask it 3 different ways and make sure you get the answer the same time. Whatever you've got to do to put your mind at rest. But see, I'm a believer. I'm sold. I mean, I've got things that I invest in outside of this. So I'm in that. I guess I'm in one of those positions that this thing could fall over in half an hour and it wouldn't affect my life. It'd be a shitty thing to happen, but it won't affect my life for half an hour. I'll just.
You really do scare the living daylights out of me when you mention something like this.
But that's the reality. I mean, and Andre teaches that. Andre teaches you not to put all your eggs in one basket. Now, we'd done that before I'd heard Andre teach. There's a lot of people teach that. But the thing is, I had a bloke once teach me when I was a professional punter. He taught me that don't make half a bet. If you're unsure, don't bet at all. That you don't. If you were going to put $1,000 on a horse and you're a little bit iffy about it, say, I'll put 300 on it. His advice was don't put anything on it. That you make your decision and then you back your decision. So you do your research. I used to spend 6 or 7 hours a day studying racing form to be able to find 3 horses that I could back in a horse race. And that spread out. I used to bet in England, or the races in England. But the same thing, you've got to do the same thing with this crew. Don't go in half-cocked or halfway or a little bit either way. Do your proper, it's called due diligence. Do your proper due diligence. Then if you decide that, you know what, this is a serious thing for me, you tell me. I just worked out these figures now. If somebody bought $1,000 worth of crew, now this is one of these, whatever these disclaimer things are I said at the beginning of this webinar. If somebody bought $1,000 worth of crew before the intrinsic value of the price of crew goes up, that $1,000 will be worth $1,300 in a week and a half's time. Now that's just straight mathematics of something that has a base value of 15 cents having a base value of 20 cents. That's not even rocket science. That's just maths. Now, if you've got a whole thousands of dollars sitting in the bank, you're not going to be getting 30% on your money in the bank in a week and a half. So, but I know that. Someone else may not know that, and they've got to go find that out. They've got to go ask the questions to say, how does the maths of that work? And then you listen to the answer, and then if the maths works out, I mean, maths is a beautiful science that it's fairly exact. 1 and 1 equals 2. That's pretty much been the way since Adam was running around. and it's going to be there all the time. So when you're working with an exact science, you can make very, very smart decisions by following the science of it. You don't even have to follow half the things that I talk about, the things of what I think about Andre and what I think about price of basalt and what I think about these. All those things, they're nice things, but some of the things that you can look at are pure maths, and they're so easy to understand. And one of the easiest ones to understand is what happens when the intrinsic value of an item goes up. It's just simple maths. Hope that answered your question.
Thank you.
Anything else, or are we done? No, I'm looking at a whole lot of people looking at their cameras at the moment. We might, Michelle, time to finish. Okay, Michelle's just told me to wrap up. So everybody, I appreciate greatly you taking times out of your life to spend with me tonight. I trust you got some value out of the whole thing. We'll do it again. We're going to do ours again in a couple of weeks' time, where we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about the company and how it works and what it does. Going to touch on a few of the things we talked about tonight, but any of those, if you've got questions, give them to the person who brought you here tonight. They will pass them on to me. If Nathan's available to come back, we'll fire some things at him. Michelle will have her speaker fixed by then. But you give us time to research the questions. We will give you the answers that you need. And they will be answers that are truly from our heart and not, stuff that we just dreamed up 2 minutes before we came on air. We're here to try and help as many people as we can. Everything that we say, everything that I say, I believe it incredibly and deeply and mean it from my heart. If I can't read anybody's mind, so if you put a question into that group, you will get an answer.